Well, why are they doing it? I don't get you. You don't let me do it.
Come on and visit for any occasion. Don't keep patting down waiting. Comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics. Keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers. And now, here are Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
Dal, this is a special decades episode of Contest of Challengers.
Why's that?
Because earlier this year, being 2018,
Yes.
the store turned 10.
It's true.
I turned 50.
50 years?
Yes.
Okay.
And you
Me.
just turned 40.
I did. 40.
Look, it's all round numbers. It's decade numbers.
It's all ridiculous numbers.
I mean, we could have gone in order, but you had to be the straggler.
Sorry. I got there eventually.
And if only we had waited 1 week for this,
Yeah.
this would have happened on the 400th episode.
Wow.
But
Sorry.
it's not. This is only $3.99.
Okay.
I know. It's a letdown for everybody. I feel the same way. Happy belated birthday.
Thanks.
Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
I did. How about you?
Oh, fine.
Yeah.
It was...
stress-free?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say that. But it went from what should be a busier Wednesday than normal with people getting their books on the way out of town.
Yeah, and folks in from out of town.
Yeah,
Who we don't normally see.
Top loading the day, as it were.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, trying to get set up for Black Friday, because this year we were actually putting out tables full of stuff.
Yeah.
So it meant a lot of box moving and setting up and things, and having to get that done before the end of the day Wednesday, so we're ready to go as soon as we open on Friday.
Yep.
Because, as we are recording this Friday evening, there were people waiting out front.
Wow, that's cool.
As promised, people said they were waiting out front, and they were.
They were.
And it's just such a long and strenuous day. Like, there were certain points where the store was packed.
Sure. I hope so. That's the whole point of Black Friday sales.
Right, but it doesn't really translate into sales.
No.
Because the
everything's
sales...
kind of low-price items.
Yeah, the sales we're doing were half off, so we're working twice as hard to make half as much.
I suppose.
Looking at the numbers for today, we didn't do what I wanted us to do,
Okay.
which wasn't a lot.
No.
What we did today was a really good Friday.
Right. But it
Not-
wasn't like a sale Friday.
Yeah, not a sale Friday. And honestly, the Black Friday sales we do are specifically to make room.
Yeah, it's as much about like providing a discount that people like as it is kind of right-sizing our inventory. There are, through the year, specifically between our February store-wide 25% off sale and our Black Friday sale, we accumulate a lot of comics that maybe we can't sell. Every store does it. Every store has a way of hopefully liquidating that merchandise in a way where you can recoup some money from it. Ours is the Black Friday sale where we're doing half off non-new this week single issue comic books.
But that includes last week's stuff.
Yeah.
And there's so many books, I'm like, oh man, Green Lantern #1 we were selling for half off.
Yep.
This wouldn't do well for us,
Uh-huh.
but it's not like this sale did well for us anyway.
Uh-huh.
But it almost seems like next year we should do it on just independent books.
Oh.
Because we didn't sell any independent books, so we just cleared out a whole bunch of Marvel and DC stuff.
Yeah, I don't know that doing...
But also very new stuff. Like
Yeah.
the last 2 weeks worth of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we always... I think with any sale, we want the stuff that's been sitting around to go, but it's never that.
No, it's never that.
Like, when we do our store-wide graphic novel sale, there's always a couple things in there where it's like, oh, it was cool to see that graphic novel that we wouldn't reorder and we haven't sold in 18 months sell at 75% of cover. That's great. But then it's also, cool, we sold like 40 copies of Saga across 9 volumes, or boy, we sold a lot of Batman graphic novels and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Where it's like, well, we would restock that anyway, so selling it at a discount, not that great for us.
No.
Not as great as selling something we wouldn't restock. So yeah, something that we could consistently sell for cover price over the next 3 or 4 weeks, selling that at half off on Black Friday is not necessarily what we're looking for. We're looking to take stuff from, a month or two and maybe move that. Have people say, oh, I haven't really read Ms. Marvel. I'll pick up the last 6 months worth of Ms. Marvel.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing.
That happened on occasion, but it was still mainstream superhero stuff.
Sure. I think doing it the way you're suggesting next year would not help us, because it wouldn't take people who are going to buy Marvel and DC stuff at a discount and say, okay, well, if I can only get it on, you know, Image and Dark Horse, I guess I'll do that. They just won't buy anything.
I know. It's just, it never works the way we want it to.
No.
And to give you an idea of how the sale went overall,
Uh-huh.
I didn't have to adjust any spaces on the comic wall.
Great. Good times.
There were no holes. Granted, I didn't give it a thorough once over, so maybe people moved things over and covered the gaps.
Oh,
I don't think so.
people are always making a mess of the comics wall, so maybe.
And as far as the, like, I don't know, was it 10 boxes we put out in the front window?
Of back issues?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I put 10 boxes back in the hallway.
Okay.
There was no significant room made, and I thought people would care about those books because those are ones they haven't seen before.
Yeah.
Also, the 3 boxes of restock on the front counter.
Uh-huh.
Well, 2 technically, because one is all barrier.
Right.
Nobody cared.
No.
I probably should have filed them all on the shelf, but we figured, hey,
Tomorrow.
here's a. And I didn't go through it. What I mean is, I didn't. Like, if we would have just put them out there,
Uh-huh.
they might have had a better chance of being found.
Maybe. I mean, those boxes are right by the front door, so I can understand why it would be easy for people to miss. Or not pay attention to.
There was a guy who, as he was going through, he felt the need to name off every book he saw in the boxes.
Cool.
You know him well. In fact, he knows you well. He always says your name.
Neat.
Yeah, boy, I tell you, it was like we don't always do Black Friday sales.
No, we really just started the last few years because people kept asking us about it,
Yeah.
to the degree that we finally said, I guess we should do this because people expect it. And you had said that, like, the last couple of years before we started doing it, you would have to field a lot of people coming in like, are you doing Black Friday sales? And having to say no. That again, was another piece of evidence indicating, I guess we have to do Black Friday sales now. I guess we have to.
We only had 1 or 2 Our Trades on Sale questions.
Okay, that's good.
Which is amazing.
Yeah,
But we had a lot more, so what's on sale questions.
sure.
And I'm sorry, can you say that again? And it was a lot of like handing a flyer. Like one guy even unfolded a flyer. He had a flyer with him. He unfolded and said, "Now what's the sale?"
Mm-hmm.
So I just went over the flyer
Yep. This
line
wall,
by line.
and then this wall. Those are what's on sale.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. The stuff that's not on the wall, not on sale.
We did have a regular who was in, might have been a club member, I forget, say after he checked out
Uh-huh.
and say, "Oh, you guys are doing a Black Friday sale? I wish I knew that ahead of time."
You know now.
And
and you have it left.
and it's just like there's a
Yep.
5-foot banner in the front window.
Yep.
I know we don't have a lot of signs up, but yeah, it's still and
Yeah, I always think it's...
somebody who gets an email from us,
Yeah.
at least one.
Well, I mean, every year we do the Valentine's Day sale,
Yeah,
and it's 7 days, and those last couple days, usually
7 days.
usually when it lands on like a Monday or Tuesday, we'll usually get at least one person per day who we say, okay, well, it's, you know, and these were all part of the sale, so you'll get the 25% discount. And they'll respond, oh, there's a sale?
Yep.
Which is both A, great because it means that whatever advertising we're doing in the store or through our social media or our email marketing doesn't work. And B, they would have paid full price and didn't.
Yep.
So we usually toss in and the sale's going on through the blah, blah, blah.
If you think of anything else you need.
So maybe they come back. Maybe they pick up something else. And sometimes when we tell people at the counter, oh, there's a sale, and then they run back and get a couple other things because they're paying less money than they were before.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I just noticed that a lot of things moved around in here today.
Yeah, gotta make room for the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now, we do have leftover business from a few weeks ago, and we didn't get a chance to get into it
That's true.
last week, because last week was entirely
All shy tag.
Shy Tag. And I did promise everybody it would be on this episode. So
So?
we'll push it off.
Okay.
I wanted to mention an exchange we had with a subscriber today. And this is not a can you believe it story. This is just a cautionary tale? I don't know. We had a subscriber who got our weekly email of hey, this is what you're getting next week, and this is what else is coming out.
And they opened it, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Not to segue into a different story, but to be quick about this, the amount of people that we've had coming in who are delinquent, who have been not in the store for 1.5 to 3 months, who when they come in look at their stack of stuff and go, oh, why is this here? Like a miniseries that got pulled for them or an annual. And not only did they receive an email 2 to 4 months earlier that said exactly why they'd be getting other series, were matching different things to different things. Like if you were getting WWE ongoing, you were going to get the NXT month-long event, or if you were getting Captain America, you'd be getting the Captain America annual.
And correct me if I'm wrong, at the end of the section of the copy twos, as we call it, the if you were getting this, you'll get this, isn't there always a sentence that says, if you are being put down for a book you don't want, please let us know?
Sure.
I thought that was in there.
Right. So,
I might be wrong.
So not only that's on there, but on the email they get as well, indicating where they can find information about the new catalog, including anything we're copying to their list, those titles are on the list that they're getting emailed. And it also says, if you see anything you want on there, great, let us know. Or if you want to make any changes, let us know. So if you see something like NXT TakeOver on there, you can tell us, I don't want NXT TakeOver. Not only that, those two pieces of information, but you'll get an email each week as these things are coming out. So, for example, WWE NXT TakeOver was a 4-issue weekly series. Every single week you got an email from us saying, you're getting a new issue of NXT TakeOver. So then when you come in a month and a half later or a month later, and you look at your stack of stuff and go, I don't want the NXT books. Like, you had 5 opportunities to tell us you don't want these if you had opened one of 5 emails we sent you regarding this book. So when people don't open the emails and that stuff happens, it's like, you could have avoided all this. All of this. All you needed to do is open at least one of those 5 emails, and all of this could have been avoided. So, regardless of the rest of the story, I do want to say thank you, person we're talking about, for actually opening your email. It's a small thing, but it helps us immensely as far as being able to get in front of problems.
Do you think there's any value in, and I realize when I propose this, it's going to be work on our part, of doing like a vertical half sheet for club members that just says, for the new year, saying, hey, we just want to let you know that every week we send you these emails, a quick monthly what's coming out new, weekly what you're getting in your box. Here's the email address we have on file for you. If we need to update that, please let us know.
So I'm not crazy about writing their email on it.
Okay, so what if we just say, if you're not receiving these emails...
Well basically what I want to do it for the new year. I think it's a good idea. And I want to do it the way you're doing it. But what I'd like to do, kind of in addition to or in substitution of, is having the sheet for them, but going over it with everyone that we're giving them their books with the sheets in there. We can go, hey, here's this thing. So that way we're getting, instead of hoping they read it, which is the whole point of the emails, which, again, a lot of them don't get read, we are going over with them in person. Here's these emails we send out. Have you been getting them? This is why we're asking you to read them. You don't have to be constantly communicating it with us, but, if you can look over the emails at least once a month to see if your list is right, that would be great. If you want to look over them every week, that would be even better. But be aware that these things are happening so that if you need to make changes to your list, if things are on there that you'd like not to be, or if there aren't things on there that you would like to see, those are the ways that you can be informed about it. To just kind of go over with them the benefits of paying attention to these emails, that these are not just spam emails about stuff they don't care about. This is stuff that is...
Yeah, we do have that email as well.
Yeah, that goes out. I don't care if they read that one. I'd like it if they read that one, but that one, not as big of a deal. Your subscription email is, again, so many problems that we have with subscribers, especially delinquent ones, are like, you're getting these emails telling you what you're getting. Look at those and say, I don't want Harley Quinn anymore. I don't want Action Comics, or I don't want NXT TakeOver or G.I. Joe Silent Option. Like, these are all things that we don't fight you on it when you want to drop stuff. It just helps us so much, and it means you don't have to have stuff waiting for you don't want. But, I mean, not to be negative about this, but the whole thing is that it costs the person who's doing it nothing to come in and say, I don't want this. Because we don't force people to buy stuff. We're not charging you ahead of time. So the benefit to them for reading an email versus coming in and telling us, I don't want this thing in my stack, is 0. And if anything, it's more difficult for them to read the email because it's one more thing they have to do instead of just coming in and saying, I don't want this. We'll be passive aggressive about it. It'll make our lives more difficult. But, I mean, this is someone we've already had to badger, basically, to come in and get their books. They already don't care that, this is extra work or money lost for us. Right. They already don't care. They've already agreed to that.
I think it was a very interesting, completely random selection of books you just named.
Uh-huh.
Just pulled them out of the thin air.
Total thin air. Not any specific books that people have given us a hard time with or that we've had instances that have infuriated us. No, just,
So,
I'm just naming books. Alphabetically.
As brief as you can make this flyer and as, big type and...
yeah.
Whatever, just so people don't just cast it aside.
Yeah,
if you want to do little illustrations in the...
I'm not gonna do it right away.
Right. You got a month.
Yeah, I'll probably do it.
You'll have it done by Sunday.
No, I'm definitely not. Women's Comics Night is usually when I can work on little special projecty things like that, so I might do it then if I don't do it ahead of time. I'm working on the new catalog, so that's a thing that my next day working is Sunday, and I'm going to be finishing and posting that.
Gotcha.
So that's all that day. And then, Monday is... I might start it then, maybe format some stuff and see what I like. Work on some verbiage. Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, so we got an email from a subscriber today who opened their subscription email, which thank you.
And they noticed a further issue number of a miniseries.
Yeah, issue 4 of a 6-issue miniseries.
That... they said, hey, I only ever got number 1. Why didn't I get 2 and 3? And it was a very abrupt and...
the phrasing was...
accusatory?
Uh-huh. Why didn't I get was the... It wasn't a, I don't know what happened, or maybe I didn't... there was no sense of, mistakes were made. I'm not placing blame. This was a...
You did this.
You gave me the first one, and you're giving me the 4th one. Where are 2 and 3?
So you dealt with it before I did because
I usually do
the
Friday morning subscription emails. I'm the one who sends out the email in the early hours of Friday. So I'll usually, after I email, I'll hang around monitoring the inbox for an hour or so.
Basically until the store opens.
Yeah.
On there.
So if people see it and they respond right away, I want to take care of it. I don't want them to stack up. So this was one where I was monitoring the inbox and someone had this thing. So I was remoted into the system, so I went into the database and I took a look at their account. And first I went to their subscription because, actually first before I went into the system, I checked their emails because sometimes people tell us they want an issue, and to them that means the series, but to us that means the issue.
Yeah, if they just say, sign me up for number 1, we'll just pull you number 1.
Yeah. So I looked, and there were no emails from this person about that, so I went on to the system, and I checked their file, and they were down for the series.
FYI, that was exactly how I was going to do it, was check the email first.
Yep.
For exactly the reason you described.
So they're down for the series. So it wasn't a thing where they only special ordered the first issue, because they're getting issue 4. So that means that they must have been down for the series. So I looked, and they're down for the series. So I went into their account, and I looked at their recent purchases to find out, why didn't they get 2 and 3? What's going on? And I looked back, and I saw, okay, on November 2nd, this person bought issue 2 and 3 of the series. In one bulk transaction with a bunch of stuff. So I emailed back, and I can't remember exactly how I phrased it. I could look it up, but it's...
and basically you said, hey, just so you know, we have a record of you buying these 2 issues on this day.
Yeah. And I want to say it, and maybe said something about, if you can't find them.
Yeah, if you need to replace them, let us know. Something like that.
Yeah. So a few minutes later, I got a response, and the response was, they definitely were not in there. There was a big stack of stuff. We must have missed it. Only issue 1 was in there. So if we could reorder 2 and 3, that would be great. So at that point, I'm like, usually when we've told people, hey, we looked it up, you did buy it, it's okay, I probably misplaced it, and 100 times out of 100, we'll get I found them. They're just in a different stack somewhere.
Just as a quick aside, I had an email waiting for me. I don't know if it went to both of us or just me, from another subscriber who we were talking about a book that they misplaced, saying, "Hey, I found that book. Don't order it for me."
Yeah.
So that this kind of thing happens often.
Sure. It happens to all of us. People misplace stuff, comics and otherwise, all the time.
Or how many times do people need to rebuy an issue because they spilled a beverage on it, or a cat attacked it, or
or
something?
it fell out of their bag in the car, so the bag went into their house, but the book didn't, so they looked under, like, the passenger seat, and sure enough, there it is.
Yep.
But this person was like, nope, only issue 1 was in there. I didn't get 2 and 3. Please reorder them for me.
But here's the catch.
Uh-huh.
Number 1 wasn't in there
Because
it was bought 3 months before.
Right, so I looked it up in the system, and not only was 2 and 3 bought on November 2nd, but issue 1 was bought back in August before this person went out of town. So,
I want to cut in and say that this person had a large stack of books because they were on vacation, and they told us ahead of time, hey, I'm going to be gone for 2 months, which is totally fine.
Yeah,
you let us know ahead of time, that is fantastic.
We tell people when they sign up for the subscription service, we ask that you come in at least once a month, but if you can't make it in for any reason, busy at work, on vacation, family stuff comes up, as long as you let us know, we can always make arrangements to hold your books for longer. You know, if someone comes in and says, you know, hey, you know, I got to go visit my parents, I'm not going to be back for 6 weeks, we'll just make a note, like, don't bug them. They're gone for 6 weeks. We're not going to hassle you about it. It's when people kind of go missing, essentially, that we make phone calls and send emails and try and get you to come in, or at least communicate with us to let us know what's going on. But anyway, so I'd emailed this person back, passive-aggressively, to say that it was weird that they had issue 1 in their stack because our records show that they bought it back in August. And also that they didn't have the 2 and 3 because when subscribers buy their subscription from us at the store, we always go through their stack of stuff to match it to what we have on the screen in the system to make sure that A, there's nothing that we've missed, and B, they're not paying for something that's not in their stack. So, you know, we'll try and find replacements for the books. Here's why that's an incredibly frustrating scenario. Basically, there's one of 2 things could have happened. So 1, this person misplaced 2 issues of a book. It's in a stack, it got left behind. It's somewhere in their possession, they just don't know it. It got put on a shelf and they forgot they put it on a shelf. Again, 100 times out of 100, someone tells us they can't find something or they think they've missed something, and if we show that they've purchased it, 100 times out of 100 they find it. There is never, to my memory, there's never been an instance where they've bought something that then is demonstrably not in their possession. Like, it's just not. They always find it.
It's never been a case of, I don't have this. Well, you bought it on this day. No, I didn't.
Mm-hmm. Or, so, 1, they misplaced it. 2, here's the sequence of events that would have to happen for this person's version of events to have occurred. Setting aside the remembering they bought something November 2nd that they bought back in August. So, when we're pulling subscription stuff, when the order comes in every week, Patrick unpacks it, unless he's injured, and he'll take a stack of a comic book, let's say, you know, Batman Kings of Fear #2.
Again, totally random.
Totally random, pulling one out of my thin air. If we get 10 copies, which a book like that we probably get like 10 copies of, we have a list that tells us, okay, here's how many copies we're supposed to unpack from the box. So we check that to make sure that's right. Then we have another list that says this many copies of this issue need to go to subscribers. In something like Batman Kings of Fear, it's probably like 4 or 5. It's not a lot. So we count out 4 or 5, or in this case, let's say 5. We count out 5 copies, and we set those aside for subscribers, and we take the remaining copies, 5, put them in a separate box to go to the shelf. That's step 1. Step 2, later in the day, I will pull the books from the subscriber section for individual subscribers. So now we've got a stack of, you know, hundreds of copies of books. And I'll go through and I'll say, okay, well, these ones go to these people. So I go down to someone's list, and that person gets maybe 3 or 4 comics, and one of them is Batman Kings of Fear #2. So I pull the 4 comics that they're supposed to get, and before I put them in their box, I count up how many comics are in my hand versus the subtotal of individual items that person is supposed to be getting for the week. On the list that we have it itemized, so it'll say, you know, Action Comics number 1003, and Batman number 55, and Batman Kings of Fear #4, and Superman #3 or whatever. So I'll pull those, and then it'll say 4 at the bottom. So Once I've got my stack of books that I pulled for them, I go through and I go 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, everything's great. And I cross it off and I move on. Then at the end, once everything's been pulled, if any books are left over, which I'd say quarter of the time we get something left over,
Sure.
I take those books that are left over and I go through and I find out, okay, how did this happen? And
Hey,
most
I've got an extra copy of Action.
I've got an extra copy of, let's say I've got an extra copy of Avengers. Why did that happen? And at one point, usually what'll happen is at some point near the end of the process, I'll be short Action Comics. So I'll go through and I'll pull up a list of everyone who should get Avengers for that week, that particular issue, and I'll check their boxes to make sure, did they get Avengers? And what usually happens is I'll find somebody late in the box, or even early in the box, and they won't have Avengers, but they will have Action Comics. So that's why I had to pull an Action Comics later from a different box, because I'd mispulled it alphabetically. They were right next to each other in the larger boxes that we're pulling out of. So they got Action Comics when they should have got Avengers, which is why I've got an extra Avengers, and I had to pull an extra Action. So I switched those up. Everything's fine. Sometimes it's a person was down for one or two things, and in the process of pulling subscribers, I skipped them. So
A smaller order
Yeah.
sandwiched between the two larger orders may have mistakenly been overlooked.
the one issue of Saga and the one issue of Rumble that I have left over are because someone was down for Rumble and Saga, and I skipped them. So I go through and I find them, okay, here we go. So these two go to this person.
Or sometimes I made a mistake setting the books aside, saying, oh, we needed 85 copies of Batman, and I accidentally pulled 84.
Yeah.
Or I pulled 86.
Yeah. So then the final step in this is the subscriber comes in and gets their subscriptions, and we have a stack of books that come out of the subscriber boxes, and all of this stuff is already in the system for them. It's in the database that's on their file saying these are the books that are waiting for them. So when a subscriber comes in, we hit F7, we pull up their account. Their account then will populate into the point of sale system everything that's in their box, everything that's waiting for them to be paid for. So then we'll take the stack of stuff that we've given them that hopefully they've walked around the store and taken a look and come back up with, and we'll compare those books to what we have on the screen. Again, to make sure that everything that's on the screen is waiting for them in their pile, so we didn't miss anything, that no mistakes have been made, so they don't leave thinking they should have gotten something that was not waiting for them, which I would say that happens 1 out of 200 times. It's maybe even more than that. It's very, very rare that something gets to that stage and something is not waiting for somebody. And then also to make sure that they're not paying for something that isn't there. Because what's in the point of sale system is what we're going to charge them for. So we want to make sure that, they put this back. We've got to take this off the file so that they don't pay for it right now. Because that happens. People will not tell us, I don't want this. They'll just put it back on the shelf. So we'll have to make sure that, we need to drop that from their file so that they're not charged for it right now. So in order for this person to have not gotten issues 2 and 3 of a series means that the failure points would have to be 1, Patrick would have had to miscount it by 1 each month. And again, this was a series that we don't pull 80 copies for our subscribers. We pull like 5. So missing it by 1 means a 20% error. That's way higher than we've ever made an error on in a miscounting. Usually it's like 1 to 3%. So missing it by 20%, 2 months in a row, huge. Huge. Secondly, each month I would have to miss just that book for just that subscriber. And again, this is a subscriber that doesn't get a ton of stuff. They get 3 or 4 books. So that means I would have to miss, in a week that book occurred, 25% or more of their list. I would have to not be able to count effectively to 4, 2 months in a row for just that subscriber. Then when that subscriber comes in, on a day that Patrick worked, he would have had to, in defiance of every procedure we've had for the last 9.5 to 10 years, as long as we've had Comic Suite, as long as we've had RMS, he would have to not look at the screen to see what that subscriber has, and not be able to count the number of items that are on the screen versus the number of items that are in this pile of stuff.
So when we're ringing people up, and if it's a large pile,
Right.
I will sometimes shortcut what I do by just counting. I will count the number of books in the pile, and then count how many items are on the screen, as opposed to going off one at a time and checking it off, if there's a line of people, if someone's in a hurry, what have you.
Right.
I rang this person up. I specifically remember doing it because it was a Friday. They'd come back from vacation. We talked about vacation.
Sure.
And the pile was not huge, but big for them because they'd been gone for 2 months.
Yeah, it was 8 weeks worth of books.
So I was the one who handled that transaction, and clearly there was nothing wrong. There was no books left off, books, what have you.
So to double all the way back, our two options are, one, this person misplaced their books, which happens to us, as in people tell us they've misplaced things regularly. Especially when you've got a stack of stuff. If you've got 20-something books, it can be easy in a house full of comic books to misplace 2 comic books. Especially
I've done it.
2 that were right next to each other in a pile. You know? They get set aside. You forget where you set them aside. Now you can't find them.
That's one other part of this that Dal didn't mention, is that once a week he goes through the club boxes and alphabetizes the orders, particularly for people that haven't been in for a few weeks. Mm-hmm. So it's easier when ringing it up because when they populate onto the screen, they're done alphabetically. Mm-hmm. So if it's 1 week's worth of stuff, it's already alphabetized backwards, usually.
Yeah.
But if it's 2 weeks, rather than just have the weeks stack, Dal will go through and alphabetize them. So these books, because it was 2 months, would have been alphabetized.
Right. So option 1, this person misplaced them. Option 2, and this was one of their suggestions, maybe they were still in the box. Except this person had come in since then.
Yeah. So we would have...
That would mean we'd have to keep not pulling those 2 comic books out of a very, at this point, thin stack of books. So that's a possibility. That's option 2. Option 3, and I guess prior to option 2 where this person was landing, both Patrick and I made 5 consistent, nearly inexplicable errors over a 2-month period. Only to this person. So I kind of know where I'm landing on this one.
Yeah. So we had one of those on the shelf, mm-hmm. and then the other one's available. I just add it to the reorder.
Sure. What else can you do?
But what do you do when these books come in and that mm-hmm. person says, "Oh, I don't need them. I found them."
Yeah, that's what's going to happen, and I'm going to be furious.
Yeah. I didn't start this story in an effort to shame this customer. I brought it up just as a cautionary tale.
Yeah, I mean it's,
and I don't think this person listens to the podcast.
Maybe,
and if they do, we're not trying to call you out.
No, I mean hopefully,
but we do have other issues with this.
Yeah, to me, just doing all this was educational. Hopefully, like for a lot of things in retail. Hopefully people who shop at stores, this is invisible to them. I assume people listening to a podcast like this are interested in this kind of minutia, like the steps that go into all of the things that you don't see. That's why we're talking about this. And also to vent an intense amount of frustration, but also to be educational.
Yeah, we got a little bit of venting through Messenger today. Not a lot, though.
I hit a lot. Usually when I'm responding to subscriber emails on the early part of Friday, I don't necessarily loop you in, especially if it's like an hour before the store opens. But on one of the exchanges where I gave my passive-aggressive explanation of what I think might have happened, or how it's unlikely that it was our fault, I looped you in on it just because I wanted you to know all of the things that you're screaming at the screen, I typed up and put up. I did that. I know exactly what you're thinking.
Yep.
Because I was thinking the same thing. So yeah, we have pulling people's books right is an incredibly important part of running a modern comic shop to me. It's one of the things that I have a tough time handing off to other people, and I'm really reluctant to do it because for any job you do, there's going to be a learning curve. You're going to screw stuff up. And I know that stores lose subscribers screwing up their subscriptions.
Sure.
We've heard it from people all the time. I've seen it happen at stores. You know, you start missing people's books, something's not there that they're expecting or something that they're excited about, and God forbid you can't replace it. Why would they shop with you? Like, the one thing they're asking you to do is set the books aside so they can come buy them. If you can't set them aside, why would they buy them from you? So getting that right is something that you and I put a lot of effort into. So when someone just does a blasé like, "Oh, you guys missed them," like, let me explain to you why that's incredibly unlikely. Like, all the hard work we do to not miss stuff like that we don't half-ass it, that we put hours and hours of work in every single week to make sure that that stuff is waiting for you.
You
So
know,
it hurts a little bit. It's a little insulting, a little bit.
when we get somebody new signing up to club and they say, yeah, I left my old store because they kept messing up with the club, we always feel like, all right, we got to make sure we don't do that. Let's hope we don't give this person a bad experience. But when they come in and say, yeah, they put my stuff back out,
Oh yeah,
we think, oh, you're
gonna
going to burn us.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what that's code for.
And without a doubt, everybody who's told us that has been a problem club member.
Yeah.
But hey, Dal, anyway, you just said something about putting a lot of work into this facet of your job.
I do. You do.
Would you say you're a hard worker?
I would say I'm one of the hardest working people in comics, judging by my looking around.
No, seriously. Would you say you're a hard worker?
I like to think so. It's tough for me to objectively say that, but subjectively, I like to think I work hard.
I like to think that you and I both work hard at what we do, and hopefully it shows in the store.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
I was doing work today on my day off.
would you say you work harder than anybody else in comics?
No.
You can't.
No.
There's how conceited must you be to say that?
Yeah, I mean, not to phrase it this way, but I don't know people's truth. You know?
I knew you were going to say that.
Thank you for sharing your truth with me. James Wilson, everybody.
All right, here we go.
So, no,
All right.
basically, I don't like to assume that it's, even though I tend to have a very dim view of a lot of comics retailers, I don't know what people, are struggling with in their stores. You know, what the local environment is like, what their product mix is like, what their customer base is like. But more than that, B, I don't know what they're struggling with in their personal lives.
Right.
You know, just because someone seems like they're half-assing it at their job, they may be taking care of an elderly relative, they may be taking care of a sick spouse.
They may have 5 kids.
Yeah, they may have a lot pulling on them that keeps them from doing things that I would look at and go, oh, I'd do that. Well, I don't have any kids or any spouses or any elderly relatives. That none of this stuff is a drain on my energy. So I shouldn't assume that people are working less hard than I am just because it looks like they might not be. That's something I need to fix in myself when I judge other stores when I see them. I don't know what they're going through.
Right, but at no point do you ever look at someone else's store and say, well, I work harder than you. You'll look at something you like or don't like.
I mean, I'll be honest, in my brain sometimes I look at From the Road Reports and Diamond and go, what are you doing with your day?
Okay, but you've never thought you worked harder than everybody.
No, never. No. I mean, there's stores that do way more business than we do and have a much larger footprint, or people that are running multiple locations.
Yeah.
That's all hard work.
Sure.
I mean, I don't even think I'm the hardest working retailer in Illinois, let alone the world.
I don't even think I'm the hardest working retailer at Challengers.
Aw, stop that.
I mean, Kent's been doing so good. Hi, kid. He hasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, buddy.
Oh, rude. Happy Thanksgiving.
We talked a few weeks ago about getting to pick up the books on Monday.
Oh, now it's we.
We both did talk about it.
Did. It's
You were there.
true.
They all heard you.
You were like, should we talk about this? And I'm like, what could go wrong?
You know, that's very true. I'm glad you phrased that way, because that's exactly what happened.
Uh-huh.
On the only Monday we picked up, there was a problem with some of the books we got. Specifically, the A cover to Firefly
The
#1
Lee Garbett cover.
had a weird spot varnish, like error, spillage,
Yeah.
print thing.
I had unpacked it and I thought, oh, is this like some sort of, like a spot varnish or something, but it's applied so weirdly. Is it a pattern I'm not seeing? Like part of like a flag, or like is it a face? And then I looked at a few copies and went, no, it seems totally random. Oh, this is like a stain. Like
Yeah.
it was a stain on the material when it was being printed or something, because it wasn't on other books in the box, but it was on the front and back of pretty much all of the Firefly cover A's we got.
Yeah,
Which
just,
means
just the A's.
in the printing process, I think, something happened to the paper stock
Right.
that led to that happening.
So, I'm a member of a couple of different Facebook groups for retailers, and
Because you're socially minded.
what I did was I took a quick little video turning the book in the light so it would reflect, so you could see where the stains were, because a still photo wouldn't have done it.
No.
And I posted it saying, just heads up. By the way, oftentimes retailers do heads up posts, but they just put capital H, capital U, capital P.
Hup.
and I refuse to do that.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I will say, just a heads up rather than just up. And explain the situation, had a quick little video. Right? So people can check their copies. And these type of posts are valuable when people say, hey, we had a misprint in our copies of Venom. I'll go look to see if we have the same problem.
Yeah, I've had a retailer friend of ours, Lord Retail, out in North Carolina. Well, sometimes, since he'll get his books maybe before we get ours, he'll say, hey, just so you know, there's an unannounced variant on Infinity War or whatever.
Yeah.
So we're aware of it. We don't really do anything with it. We're not a store that prices that stuff up, but it's like, oh, thank you for letting me know.
Yeah, we appreciate that kind of stuff. So I posted it, and right away someone was like, hey, did you talk to Boom? I'm like, yeah, I did. It was a holiday weekend as well. It was Veterans Day.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess it
So
would have been.
Boom was closed, but Philip had already gotten back to me saying, hey, we'll check into this for you. And I just wanted people to know about it.
Yeah.
To check their copies.
Just make them aware of a potential problem before it bit them in the ass.
So, one retailer, who, by the way, is a member of Comics Pro, and Comics Pro is supposed to be like-minded retailers working toward the future betterment of retail for everyone,
A+ organization.
tagged Diamond in the post saying, why did they get to pick up their books on Monday? You've told me I can't do it. And then proceeded to talk about how he is the hardest working retailer in comics. And he wants special treatment.
Yeah. Which is weird. Usually when people want special treatment, they want to phrase it any way other than that. In fact, they'll usually, and this is a kind of keyword, when you see people say, I'm not looking for special treatment, they're 100% looking for special treatment. They just don't want to be seen as getting special treatment because the phrase special treatment is very loaded. It means that they don't want the rules to apply to them. So when someone is ballsy enough to outright say, I deserve special treatment, I mean, you almost respect it of just laying it online and saying, I know that what the rules are. I don't want them to apply to me. Not to anyone else.
I don't almost respect that at all.
I want them to apply to everybody else. I would like them to not apply to me so I can have an advantage. Which is, I mean, jaw-dropping in just the audacity of, yes, I do want special treatment. I think I deserve it.
There is the tiniest possibility that this retailer was joking, but then if you would have seen the follow-up comments, and sometimes I can overreact to these things, so I call in Dal, and you read it.
The level-headed one.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
You read it and came to the same conclusion.
Oh my god, it was great because it comes out of nowhere. It has nothing to do with the topic, and it was someone who was immediately essentially telling mom. That was the whole point of it. Was telling mom, pointing and telling mom.
Now,
okay,
it's well established that certain accounts are allowed to pick up on Monday.
Sure, that's why the books. When we talked about the books being at the expediters at the pickup point, they were there Saturday?
Yeah.
So that accounts could pick them up Monday, which was why the pickup point wanted them all out of there, because they've got these books sitting there for 3 days. And they're in the way. They'd like them to go
Saturday,
away.
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah. And to go back to something Patrick had said in the previous episode or two, when we had found out from the pickup point that we could pick up on Monday, Patrick had made it explicit, is this just us or is this everybody? And we were told it was everybody. So we're like, okay, because we really don't want special treatment. We would like, if we can pick up on Mondays, because other stores can pick up on Mondays, every store should be able to pick up on Mondays. What's the difference?
Right.
As we talked about before, street date is still Wednesday.
Yeah,
us getting on Monday
them out.
is giving us no material advantage in the sense of product is going on the shelves and being sold. The only advantage is you have an extra day to find damages like Firefly #1, and this we found out is key. Report those damages, because if you report them on Tuesday, it's going to take you maybe 2 weeks to get replacements in, if not longer. The stuff that we reported on the Monday of Veterans Day, was it Veterans Day?
Yeah.
We got that stuff back in stock the next Wednesday. We had replacements the next release day.
Yeah.
It was great.
It's funny difference a day makes.
And that won't happen again.
No.
Because of the way that the invoicing and the packing and the shipping cutoffs work. If we report it Tuesday when we pick up, doesn't matter. Too late. It's a week too late now.
Yep.
So yeah,
So then,
told Mom.
yeah. Then on that Wednesday, we get a phone call from Diamond saying, it's been brought to our attention you picked up on Monday.
Yep, and not our normal rep. This was not our guy.
Yeah.
This was somebody else from Diamond. Because that's how seriously they took this. This was pre-escalated.
Why did you think you could do that?
Uh-huh.
The warehouse told us we could. Okay. Like, they told everybody we could. Okay.
Yeah, and we know that because we had told other retailers, hey, by the way, in case you didn't hear, we can pick up on Mondays now. We, meaning the retailers who pick up at the pickup point.
And they'd said, yeah, they told us when we were there.
They were already told. So this was not something they were sneakily telling us. This was, to our knowledge, the new policy. So we wanted to make sure that all of the retail accounts that were picking up Tuesdays could take advantage of this to help all of their stores. Again, much like the Monday post about the Firefly stuff, trying to be community-minded in this. Where it's like, hey, if you're not doing this, you probably should because it's going to be helpful to your peace of mind and your ability to run your business better. Again, it's not going to make you more money. It's not that kind of advantage. It's like a procedural advantage where it's like, oh, this is more efficient and this is better for almost everyone who's running a comic shop. It's owner-operated. So if you can spread out the work you have to do over 2 days instead of 1 day, it's going to be way better for you. You know, your quality of life is going to improve. And your ability to keep running your store is going to improve.
And then Diamond called back and said, exactly who at the warehouse told you this?
Name names.
At which point I'm like, forget this. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know anybody's names.
Uh-huh. I would rather not snitch if it's okay.
Yeah.
Somebody did not, like, this was not, even in their mind, this was not a hidden thing that they were helping us out with or letting us get away with. This was something that was helping the pickup point, too.
Yeah, it was helping them.
Just get this stuff out of the way. It's in the way. And the idea of needing to sit on it for one extra day for, you know, a dozen accounts instead of the 3 that are picking up the day before, who cares? And not to make this a reductive, you know, Diamond's enforcing dumb rules, but generally, who cares?
Right.
The fact that this is a thing that Diamond calls us back multiple times on to find out who they need to yell at another point is like, why does this matter? Like, even if this guy who is complaining, who does not live near this pickup point, he's not someone that picks up where we pick up.
He's not a competitor.
No. With the pickup points, that is not something that Diamond needs to make available for every account in the United States. Okay? You either live near a pickup point and can go pick up, or you don't. So the idea of, well, everyone who lives nearby a pickup point could go pick up Monday, but we're going to make them not pick up until Tuesday because UPS drop-off people can't get it till Tuesday.
But UPS has been delivering on Mondays to a lot of people now.
Well, I hope the UPS truck keeps those boxes on the truck because those stores cannot have them on Monday. They cannot. That's
right.
That's unfair somehow. I don't know how, but it apparently is somehow unfair.
So while I agree with you that this is a dumb Diamond rule, that's not what we're getting at.
I mean, I'd like it stated.
Sure, I completely agree.
Even though
there's no reason...
Even though it's not the point we're bringing this up, I would like it more or less on the record.
Especially when you see that there is actual benefit to your business doing it this way, and you find out that, oh, this... When you don't get a replacement for 2 weeks, you've lost the ability to sell that book.
Yeah, it strikes me as a real Harrison Bergeron kind of thing, where it's like, instead of a small percentage of stores, or I don't know, maybe a large percentage of stores, I'm not sure, a lot of stores pick up at pickup points.
Yeah. There are more pickup points than we realized.
Basically, instead of some stores having an advantage and some stores having a disadvantage, Diamond would prefer if everybody was the same in having a disadvantage. So it's like, okay, great.
So it seems.
Yeah, this is something that's happened in the past where some parts of the country had something happen where like a truck, a UPS truck broke down. And some portion of the country, let's say the Southeast maybe, was having a problem getting their books. Like basically another truck had to come and take the other stuff off the truck and then et cetera, et cetera. So it led to a delay of a day, I think, maybe. So Diamond had said, every account has to wait a day, which
Oh.
even then was insane. So these stores that are not any way affected by this truck breaking down, and also in no way competing with the stores that are affected, all have to sit on their books, turn their customers away, because some stores somewhere in the world don't have their books. Like, it was mind-boggling. And where a lot of this starts to make me angry is the realization of these rules can seem kind of arbitrary. And if there were any sort of competition to Diamond when it came to Premier Publishers, Diamond would not be able to enforce these arbitrary rules. If another distributor said, yeah, you can have them, of course you can pick them up on Monday, they're just sitting at the warehouse, who cares? Don't sell them till Wednesday. Then we would switch our money to that account. And then Diamond would not be able to enforce that rule because they'd be losing business by enforcing those rules, by having competition. But there isn't. So if Diamond collectively decides no one picks them up till Tuesday, no matter what, don't care. Don't care if your store is 5 feet outside of the pickup point. It doesn't matter. You can't go get them till Tuesday. Then they can do that. Yeah.
So I talked to the warehouse when I was there this week.
Because we didn't want to get anybody in trouble.
On Tuesday. Mm-hmm. And they didn't do anything wrong.
No.
This was basically news to them. They didn't have a list of who could or who couldn't pick up. They just wondered why nobody else ever picked up earlier, that kind of thing.
Because the rules for picking up on Monday are, I don't know if they're enshrined anywhere.
Yeah.
The way we've heard it is basically...
Dollar amount.
Yeah, I don't know the dollar amount, but there's a dollar amount and a number of stores. Or not even a number of stores, because aren't there like single store locations that are picking up?
Sure. Yeah.
I guess as long as you get enough stuff.
Yeah. If you spend enough money.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that means more product, you need more time, whatever. But it has nothing to do with multiple accounts or multiple locations in an account. It has to do with volume.
And when you pick up has been a moving target over the years. Like, the stores that are picking up Monday used to have to pay off the warehouse to pick up Tuesday.
Or else I did pick up Wednesday.
Right. It doesn't matter how much you're spending or how many stores you have. You pick up Wednesday. Everyone picks up Wednesday.
Yeah, but we covered all that in the
I wanted to be clear that if Diamond is sort of laying down this law of, like, no one is allowed to pick up Monday except for these stores that do this amount, that's not an all-time rule.
Right.
That is a recent change. So the idea that the rules can't be changed, they 100% can be changed. They have been changed. When they don't make sense, yeah, sure.
So I'm not upset that Diamond explicitly said to me on the phone, you cannot pick up on Mondays. Fine. It goes back to us not wanting special treatment because no one is allowed to do it at this warehouse, whether we disagree with that or not. Mm-hmm. No one is supposed to. Fine. The fact that we can't pick up on Mondays, fine.
Yeah.
Nobody else was.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, a couple accounts were.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, nobody else was. It's the sort of thing that I sound really angry about it, but when we had found out it happened, I mean, first of all, I knew it was going to fall apart. Like, it felt like something that was going to...
Because it was a thing that we valued.
Because it was helpful in some way.
Yeah.
But more importantly, beyond the being able to get replacements faster, which is helpful, the rest of it was just moving work around.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I got to catch up on the week's books over 2 nights instead of 1, which some nights is helpful, but most nights it wasn't. I mean, I can read what I need to read for the week in a couple hours. It doesn't really matter if it's Monday night or Tuesday night.
So this is not a catastrophic
No.
change for us.
No. If we had to pick up Wednesday mornings, that would be...
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
But what bothers me is this other retailer crying to mom, like you said.
Yeah.
Like if I saw this and I saw another retailer was doing a thing, I would reach out to them and say, "Hey,
how are you doing?
How are you doing this?"
Yeah.
There have been times where that has happened, where I will message a retailer and ask them how that's happening.
Yeah.
And whether they go into detail or whether they say, "Hey, we're doing it underhand" or whatever, fine. I'm just curious, like can we do that as well? If we're not supposed to, fine. But the fact that they immediately had to say, well, why are they doing it? I don't get you. You don't let me do it.
Yeah, especially because when you do that, you're never going to get what you're after. All you're going to get is this other person to not have it. So what, beyond some weird sick satisfaction at someone else being as disadvantaged as you are, what does it gain you? Like, some store that is nowhere near you, that is in no competition with you whatsoever, can't pick up on Monday now. That's all you got out of it. All
Yeah.
you got was, we can't pick up Monday.
Not some store, a group of
Yeah,
stores,
a whole-
a whole hub worth.
Like, almost 24 comic shops in the Chicagoland area can't pick up on Monday now.
And specifically from somebody who is supposed to be forward-thinking and progressive and care about the industry for everyone else.
Yeah.
And it just struck me as what my post was about, trying to help other retailers.
Yeah.
Which, and I told you at the time, like, I'm never doing that again.
No, why would you? So someone on the internet can turn it around on you?
Yeah.
Why?
For somebody who
Why
thinks
open your mouth?
that highly of themselves to be such a baby,
Uh-huh.
and just out of politeness, we're not saying who they are or what their store is.
Yeah.
But if any of you message me and ask, I will absolutely tell you.
We're polite, but we're not that polite.
So yeah, we had Mondays one time. That was the thing.
Yeah, it was a fun
It was so
series
weird.
of days.
It was so. I had Tuesday off, and it was freaking me out.
Oh my god, the whole week was so surreal.
I mean, doing that and then coming to Thanksgiving week.
Uh-huh.
Like, I don't know what's up anymore. I don't know what day it is. Holidays just messing with everything. It's so crazy.
So weird.
So I want to thank Ed Cook for asking about my physical well-being. I am back to getting the books by myself. I'm definitely overdoing it. I was up and down a ladder over 25 times today. I'm lifting,
Were you setting up
moving, all sorts of things.
Christmassy decorations?
You didn't see them when you were in?
I didn't.
They were already up.
Oh, neat. Merry Christmas.
And all the stockings.
Merry Christmas.
And the tree is partially up now.
Okay.
And then moving all those boxes and all that. So I'm definitely feeling the effects, and I frequently at the end of the day say, "What are you doing?" But I appreciate your concern, and as far as your suggestion of always hiring younger people than us to do these types of things, we don't trust anybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, you said that when talking about pulling the club.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, we did that, but they're all getting too old now.
Yeah.
So maybe they need to hire younger people to do their jobs.
And I was supposed to have a younger person. Well, I did have a younger person doing this with me for a while. That was you. But we were supposed to have an even younger person doing it, and that fell apart.
Yeah.
And then our good friend Lord Retail, Jermaine Exum from Acme Comics, who you mentioned previously, had asked me if specifically things that we were talking about, like showrooming and the attitude of customers recently, not just ShyTag, but things we've been encountering more recently. Do we think that is regional or national? Like, we can only speak to our experiences, but do you think this is the general comic buying public overall, or do you think this is like a Chicago thing?
Oh, man. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't go to enough places to be able to have evidence to point in either direction.
We do feel that Chicago comic fans somehow feel entitled but above it a lot. Like, the way we can't get people to come to events,
Yeah.
it's not just us, it's all stores in Chicago.
Yeah.
But I also don't think it's just stores in Chicago, I think it's everywhere.
I see. We've talked before about how some stores in smaller towns can get C and D level guests that get A level turnout, and we'll get A level guests that get D level turnout. So I think it has to do with your region and kind of how supportive and how excited those fans are to do those things and what competition there is for their time. The showrooming stuff, I mean, you would assume it would be more prevalent in Chicago because of how much more, I don't know, technologically oriented, especially our neighborhood is, how young it is.
Yeah.
I see a ton of Amazon credit cards, when people are paying for their books. So I definitely know people buy stuff online. But I think some of it, at least in our neighborhood, my theory is that it's people who are making a decision to shop locally and shop small businesses. It's not that they don't know they can get it on Amazon or a website. It's that they choose not to for these things. That they're making a decision to do those things. Some of that is the amount of disposable income they might have.
Sure.
That they're not necessarily thinking about things in how can I participate in this art form in the cheapest way possible. And in other parts of the country where things might be more economically depressed, people might have to make different decisions about how they participate in comics, is kind of my theory. So the neighborhood we're in makes it where people aren't necessarily doing that as much, but I don't know how true that is. That's just a theory.
I was talking to both of my brothers-in-law last night, and one of them worked a very, very long time in retail and now has a different, like a manufacturing company. Mm-hmm. But he's done a lot of trade shows and finds very, very little value in them.
Sure.
But we were also talking about the retail experience, and I've mentioned, especially at the holidays, and I'm doing it again this year, I'm keeping a strict record of gifts that I'm buying for people, whether it's I'm buying it online, whether I'm buying it from a physical store, or whether somebody is hand-making a good. Mm-hmm. Those are my 3 categories.
Okay.
And I really try to emphasize the other 2, but so far there's been an instance this year where I was buying something for someone, and it was a specific store brand product, and I never heard of the store before. I'm like, maybe they have a location near me. Mm-hmm. So I look it up, and they have let's say they have a store in Water Tower.
Uh-huh.
I'm not doing that.
Right.
I'm not going downtown to Water Tower Place to buy this one item in that store. And this is not a store that is for me, nor does it sell products for me. So it's not as if I'd find something else when I'm there. I'd be going in for that one thing.
Right.
So pushing the button makes it a lot easier. Mm-hmm. But my brother-in-law was like, I only push the button. That's all I want to do is push the button.
Yeah, I did a lot of my holiday shopping already, and I did it basically like 12:01 a.m. Thanksgiving morning, more or less. I've only bought one thing on Amazon so far.
Okay.
It was something that I probably could have gone to a store and maybe bought or found possibly, but this was just, the price was better, and it's one thing I don't care a whole lot. Everything else I either bought from a person on eBay, which means I like to think I'm supporting a human being, because they're selling their thing.
So you're buying all used things? Is that it?
Yes, gently used. And then one thing I bought from a website that they don't have a physical storefront. They manufacture their stuff, and you can get it on their website.
Sure.
That's it. And then some stuff, like gift cards and stuff, locally from those establishments.
I will tell you the value of shopping around for the Lego Voltron you got for your birthday.
Thanks.
I just typed in and because I know a lot of the stuff is limited run. Mm-hmm. It sells out.
Sure.
And I started looking on Amazon and eBay. I'm like, this is really expensive. Like, I know it was cheaper when it came out. Then I thought, let me go to the Lego website. Mm-hmm. Went to the Lego website. Oh, they had it.
Yep.
Oh, they're selling it for normal retail.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, please. Still, it's an expensive piece.
Oh,
but
it's a lot of pieces.
It wasn't
over 2,000 Legos.
It wasn't an extra $100.
Right.
It wasn't.
It wasn't bought and resold.
It wasn't Convoy.
Yeah. MP 711 Convoy.
And true, I could have gone to the Lego store.
Uh-huh.
But at that point, I'm buying it from the same thing. I mean,
yeah.
I'm not supporting the local economy because buying it at the store pays for the taxes in the city and the employees in this store.
Yeah, like when I got my Timbuktu bag, I was building a custom bag, so I could have just done it on their website, but I went to their store on Damon and built it there so that store would get the credit for it, that I was paying that person for that bag.
But my point is, like, even a guy who makes his living with products in physical stores doesn't want to shop in physical stores.
No, I mean, again, I did a ton of shopping, and I did it in like 15 minutes, and I was very happy with that result. I was mentioning this to folks today. My rule is I don't do any Christmas shopping until
December 26th.
Until Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is the day I will start my shopping. But once that point happens, I want it done with as fast as I possibly can.
Wait, you said 12:01. You mean Black Friday?
No.
Or will you do stuff on
Thanksgiving?
Okay.
Like, basically, this year, 12:01 a.m., November 22nd, I was buying stuff.
Oh, okay.
I was already, taking care of things. 1 minute after my birthday, I was buying Christmas presents for people.
Has your birthday been Thanksgiving before?
No, it's never been on Thanksgiving. It can't be the
Okay.
way Thanksgiving works.
Okay.
The closest it could ever get is the day before Thanksgiving.
Like
And then-
this year.
Yeah, and then next year it'll be like 5 or 6 days before, is I think how it works out.
Yeah, there's always that, sometimes there's an extra Thursday. Sometimes it's the last Thursday.
Yeah.
I don't get it. At least it's not as hard as Easter.
Yeah. Because my birthday is November 21st, Thanksgiving can never land on my birthday.
Okay. Seems like my birthday is always Father's Day. Always.
Happy How is your Christmas shopping going?
Good.
Yeah.
I knocked off one more person today, and then it made me remember that I had somebody else done that I didn't mark down on my Excel spreadsheet.
I did today on the way home from dropping off Prince at the store. I made sure I did a thing that is always the last thing I do, and I'm always like under the gun to get it done. I bought Christmas cards for my mom and my aunt right now.
Nice.
So that I'm putting stuff together for my mom, and I gotta still find out something to get for my aunt. But then I can make sure that stuff is ready to go. It's not going to get sent out until
Closer.
like the December 10th, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I like to have my personal cards in the mail between the 10th and the 15th.
But this is, I always will get their gifts, and then I'll be like, oh god, I gotta get a card, and so then I gotta like wait till the weather's nicer or when I'm in the area or whatever. And yeah, it just ends up being a thing where I'm getting the card and then I immediately have to sign it and put it in the mail and do all that. Now it's like I don't have to. It can just sit on a pile with everything else that I'm accumulating for people, and then ready to go. And yeah, I've been getting notifications from the places that I bought from and the people I bought from early on Thanksgiving that basically like a lot of stuff is going to be coming in between like November 27th and December 1st. So like most of what I'm getting for people will be all done, and it'll just be like spending time wrapping
So I
stuff.
should open everything that comes in addressed to you?
Definitely don't do that.
Okay.
Definitely don't. Thankfully, like I said, there's a lot of stuff I'm getting from people on eBay,
Yeah.
which means that
It's not going to say...
it's just going to be a USPS
Yeah.
box or a brown
Yeah.
box or whatever.
Sure.
There's one thing that's coming from an online manufacturer, and it's like, it's definitely going to say where they're from. It's probably going to be a giveaway, but I don't know.
I
Maybe
had
not.
what I thought was a great idea for my friend Luke for Christmas, and I bought it early, and I'm glad I did because it came
Smash.
shattered. It was.
Up.
I didn't realize it was a thin ceramic thing, and it came just destroyed.
Yeah.
And I got it was on eBay, and the guy gave me a refund immediately.
Right.
But I'm just disappointed.
Sure.
So I did show him like, hey, this is what I was going to get you, and he seemed to have liked it, but it's a moot point.
Yeah.
I can't.
You can have the
Now,
broken one, I guess.
this seller has one more. I'm like, I'm not taking a chance.
No.
It was not like he didn't. It's not that he packed it poorly. That it was in its original box. Like it was still sealed in the original package. Then he put that box into a bigger box and sent it out. But the original package, I don't think, was meant for
Shipping.
individual postman transport.
Yeah.
When the postal worker put it down on the counter, I could hear that it was broken already.
Oof.
But anyway, that's a moot point.
Rough.
No, I'm okay. It does seem a little more stressful each year. Like I have my list. I have 27 different people I'm buying for, all told.
Golly.
I mean, this is way down from what it used to be.
Still.
And then, like, we started decorating the store today. I'll do personal decorations on, like, Sunday. Mm-hmm. And last year, after Christmas, I bought some cards and stuff that I'll pull down and find. And
Yeah.
I decided not to put the gift registry forms in club member boxes.
Okay.
Because we don't have enough to give to anybody, and it's hard to pick and choose, and half our club members won't come in for the next month.
Yeah.
So I just put them on the tape station for anyone to take.
Okay.
Because I also want to open that up to
Sure.
everybody else.
Sure.
And I know that no one will use them.
No.
But I at least wanted to try.
Okay. Sure.
I mean, these are legitimately the gift registry forms we made for our first or second Christmas ever.
Yeah.
So they're not getting any use
No.
sitting in a binder somewhere, so we'll at least give it a shot.
Yeah.
I think it's a valuable idea if people would use it.
Yeah.
I don't regret doing it.
No, I like a lot of things that don't work out. I mean, it was fun to try.
I do want to mention that Saturday, December 1st, it's Lumberjanes Saturday for us. We're going to have 2 different Lumberjanes creators in the store from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. both writers, Kat Lay, the current writer for Lumberjanes monthly comic book, and Lila Sturgis, the writer of the standalone Infernal Compass graphic novel. And Lila is on tour that Boom put together. We're the only Chicago stop. It's only like a, eight or so stop tour.
Okay.
And we've never had Lila Sturgis in the store before, even though she'd been writing comics for a very long time. And in fact, going through the boxes of stuff we had out for sale, when somebody bought a stack of old Fables, the
Yeah, I was
crossover
going to say
issues,
she
I'm
did
like,
some Fables stuff.
like, oh, well, the writer for this is going to be in here next
Was
week.
it Jack of Fables? Was it...
Well, she wrote Jack of Fables,
Yes.
but when they did like the crossovers, like they did crossovers,
Yeah.
she was part of that
Okay.
as well, amongst many other books.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
like I said, we never had her before, and I hope that people are excited to meet her for not just Lumberjanes, but definitely for Lumberjanes. And then we have other new events that are coming up later in the month, but we'll talk about them later.
Sure.
I just wanted to do one last podcast push for Lumberjanes. The podcast, by the way, being Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast on the Yak Channel Podcast Network in Chicago. And this previous Monday was Thank You Patrons Day for Patreon, where Patreon had requested that people do something special for their patrons.
Okay.
So I filmed a very quick video thanking people
Nice.
and put it up, and I learned that you can't just upload a video to Patreon. You have to hot link it from YouTube.
Oh, okay.
So I had to make that public
Ugh.
and then
Thanks,
link
patrons,
it.
and literally anyone who finds it on YouTube.
yeah, that's the thing I think is weird about it.
Yeah,
so
for
it's
real.
done for patrons, but anybody could see it.
Yeah, weird.
But Patreon did see that we did it and did acknowledge that we did it. Mm-hmm. It doesn't do anything, but
Okay.
also, it's too late for anyone to listen to this, but we were working with Square and Google Pay. Anybody that used Google Pay this whole week would get an extra 15% off of their purchase.
The whole weekend?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Well, there's things I need to teach you about it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought it was just Saturday when I wasn't working.
Nope, it was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Okay.
And so far we had one person take advantage of it.
Did they know about it in advance?
The woman who set it up.
Okay.
So yes, she knew about it in
Okay.
advance.
Okay.
She bought a comic to see if it worked.
Okay.
And it did.
Cool.
But also, there's a way that it goes wrong and it gave the next person the discount. So I had to say, hold on a second, do the math, and then ring your card a second time for the extra $2 or whatever it was.
Okay.
I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I hope your holidays are looking bright. I hope that if you celebrate Hanukkah, you're getting excited. It's very close. And I hope that you are not already sick to death of Christmas. Thanks for listening.
And keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.